My beloved child, do not scroll away from this moment. Something has been moving quietly around you, something connected to provision, trust, and a decision you may soon be asked to make. You were not expecting this message, and perhaps that is exactly why it has reached you now. There are moments when life places an opportunity in front of you that looks simple from the outside, yet beneath the surface there are details your heart must examine carefully. This is one of those moments. Someone may be preparing to offer you money, assistance, an opportunity, or something valuable, but what matters most is not merely what they place into your hands. What matters is what they may expect you to surrender in return. Stay with these words, because this is not a message designed to make you afraid. It is a fictional spiritual story about discernment, dignity, boundaries, and recognizing the difference between a genuine blessing and an offer that comes carrying invisible conditions. You have been through seasons when you wished someone would simply understand how hard you were trying. There were moments when you counted what you had, looked at what needed to be done, and wondered how everything would come together. Yet you kept moving. You smiled when your mind was carrying questions. You encouraged others while secretly needing encouragement yourself. You learned how to survive days that nobody around you completely understood. And because of that, an offer of financial help could touch something very deep inside you. It could feel like relief arriving at exactly the right moment. But listen carefully, relief should never require you to abandon your wisdom. An open door does not mean you must walk through it without looking at where it leads. Someone has noticed more about you than you realize. They have noticed your determination, your patience, your ability to continue when circumstances become uncomfortable. They may know that you have dreams you want to pursue, responsibilities you want to handle, or something important you want to build. They may also understand that money can accelerate certain things. That knowledge gives them an opportunity to approach you in a way that appears generous. At first, there may be nothing obviously troubling about it. The conversation may sound ordinary. The words may sound supportive. They might even say something that makes you wonder whether this is finally the breakthrough you have been waiting for. Yet the deepest question will not be, how much are they offering? The deeper question will be, why? There is a difference between generosity and leverage. Generosity gives without quietly purchasing control over another person. Leverage gives something today so that it can demand something tomorrow. And sometimes the distinction is difficult to recognize because both can arrive wearing the same smile. Imagine someone saying, "I want to help you." Those words can be beautiful when they come from a sincere heart. But if the next sentence becomes, "And because I helped you, you now owe me access to your decisions, your time, your loyalty, your privacy, or something that violates your boundaries," then the meaning changes. The gift becomes a contract you never knowingly agreed to sign. That is why this moment requires something greater than excitement. It requires discernment. Perhaps you have already felt something unusual around a certain conversation. Maybe someone has recently become more interested in your plans. Perhaps they have asked questions about what you need, what you are trying to accomplish, or what would make your life easier. Maybe none of this has happened yet. Remember, this is a fictional spiritual narration, not a prediction about a specific person in your life. But within this story, heaven is teaching you something important. Never allow urgency to silence your intuition. If someone presents an offer and immediately pressures you to decide, your strongest response may be to slow everything down. What is truly meant to help you should be able to survive a thoughtful question. There is another layer, and this is where the story becomes more personal. You have sometimes believed that saying no to someone who offers help makes you ungrateful. You may have been taught to accept kindness without questioning it, especially when the person giving appears powerful, successful, experienced, or confident. But gratitude and obedience are not the same thing. You can appreciate someone's generosity without surrendering your independence. You can receive legitimate help without giving someone ownership over your future. And you can decline an offer without becoming a bad person. Your boundaries do not become less valuable simply because someone places money on the table. The person in this story has been thinking carefully. They know that presenting everything at once could cause you to hesitate, so the offer may arrive in stages. First comes reassurance. Then comes opportunity. Then perhaps a promise. I can make this easier for you. And only later does the hidden expectation begin to appear. This is why you must listen not only to what people say at the beginning, but also to what they reveal when you establish a boundary. A sincere person can respect the word no. A controlling person often becomes uncomfortable when generosity does not purchase influence. That reaction can tell you more than the original offer ever could. But there is something else you need to understand. Not every financial offer is suspicious. Not every person who helps you wants something harmful in return. Some people genuinely give because they care. Some opportunities really are opportunities. Some partnerships can change lives for the better. Wisdom does not mean distrusting everyone. Wisdom means examining the terms before attaching your future to them. Ask questions. Understand expectations. Read what you are asked to sign. Never share passwords, verification codes, banking credentials, identity documents, or private financial information merely because someone promises money. Never send money first because someone claims you must unlock a larger payment. And never let emotional pressure convince you that basic caution is somehow disrespectful. You may wonder why this message feels so specific. It is because money has a strange ability to reveal what words sometimes conceal. When nothing is at stake, almost everyone can appear reasonable. But introduce money, ownership, obligation, inheritance, investment, employment, partnership, or repayment, and suddenly motives become clearer. People begin showing what they actually believe they are entitled to. Some reveal extraordinary generosity. Others reveal expectations they never mentioned before. That is why your strength in the coming scene of this fictional story will not come from predicting someone's intentions. It will come from knowing your own boundaries before anyone tests them. Imagine that the offer arrives tomorrow. Someone tells you they want to give you enough money to solve something that has been troubling you. Your first emotion might be relief. Your second might be disbelief. Your mind might immediately start calculating everything you could finally accomplish. But before you answer, something inside you whispers, ask what they expect. That single question changes the entire atmosphere. Suddenly there is a pause. Suddenly the person must explain what was previously left unsaid. And in that pause, you discover that the most valuable thing you possess was never the money you needed. It was your ability to choose. There are things money should never purchase from you. It should never purchase your self-respect. It should never purchase your silence about mistreatment. It should never purchase unlimited access to your life. It should never force you to remain somewhere you feel unsafe. It should never require you to betray someone you love, deceive someone, compromise your values, or surrender something deeply personal that you never wanted to give. An opportunity that requires you to become smaller is not necessarily an opportunity simply because the number attached to it is large. And perhaps this touches an old wound. Maybe there was a time when someone helped you and later reminded you of it repeatedly. They turned yesterday's kindness into today's weapon. Every disagreement became, after everything I've done for you. Every boundary became ungrateful. Every independent decision became evidence that you had forgotten what they gave you. Experiences like that can teach a person to fear receiving help altogether. But that is not the lesson here. You do not need to reject kindness. You need to recognize healthy kindness. Healthy generosity does not keep an invisible scoreboard waiting for the perfect moment to collect. The deeper spiritual lesson is about stewardship. What comes into your hands should not automatically control your heart. Money is a resource. It can build, protect, feed, educate, create, repair, and open possibilities. But when money becomes attached to manipulation, its purpose changes. The amount may remain the same, but the emotional cost can become enormous. This is why sometimes the smaller opportunity with clean conditions is worth more than the enormous offer tied to chains you cannot immediately see. There may also be another possibility you have not considered. What if you do not actually need the offer as desperately as you think? What if another path is forming quietly? What if the pressure to accept quickly exists because someone knows that if you wait, you might discover another option? This is where patience becomes powerful. The person who believes there is only one door can be easily pressured. The person who understands that life contains more than one road can negotiate, question, and walk away when necessary. You have survived without certain things before. That does not mean you should struggle unnecessarily, but it does mean desperation does not deserve the authority to make your decisions. When something valuable is placed before you, breathe before answering. Separate the amount from the conditions. Imagine the money disappearing from the conversation entirely and ask yourself whether you would still agree to what the person wants from you. If the answer becomes no, then the money may be distracting you from the true transaction. This is where the story takes an unexpected turn, because the person preparing the offer may not even understand their own motives completely. Human beings are complicated. Someone can genuinely want to help you while simultaneously wanting influence over you. Someone can care about you and still have unhealthy expectations. Someone can believe they are being generous while unconsciously assuming generosity gives them authority. This does not automatically make them evil. It simply means you must evaluate behavior instead of creating villains inside your imagination. Your purpose is not to accuse. Your purpose is to understand clearly. And clarity often begins with simple questions. Is this a gift or a loan? Do you expect repayment? Are there conditions? What exactly do you expect from me? Can I have time to think? Can I review this in writing? These questions are not disrespectful. They are responsible. Notice what happens when they are asked. A legitimate arrangement becomes clearer. A manipulative arrangement often becomes uncomfortable. When someone wants you to understand an agreement, they usually welcome clarity. When someone benefits from your confusion, clarity can feel threatening to them. But something else is moving beneath this entire message, something that has nothing to do with the person offering money. It has to do with how you see yourself. There have been moments when you underestimated your value because you were focused on what you lacked. You looked at someone with more resources and unconsciously placed them above you. You assumed their money gave their opinions more weight. But wealth does not determine human worth. Someone can have more money than you and still be wrong. Someone can offer you something valuable and still have no right to decide who you become. Your voice remains yours. Your future remains yours. Your relationships remain yours. Your privacy remains yours. Your convictions remain yours. The moment someone tries to convert financial assistance into ownership over these things, remember that you are allowed to reconsider. Even if you initially said yes to a conversation, you can ask for clarification before proceeding. Even if you felt excited, you can slow down. Even if someone becomes disappointed, their disappointment does not automatically mean you have done something wrong. There is a strange freedom that arrives when you understand this. Suddenly you stop seeing every offer as rescue. You start seeing it as information. You examine it. You compare it with your values. You consider consequences beyond the first exciting moment. You think about what happens 1 month later, 6 months later, 1 year later. You ask whether the arrangement still feels fair when the immediate financial pressure has passed. That is how mature decisions are made, not under the brightest emotional spotlight, but under the quiet light of long-term thinking. And now the atmosphere of this story changes, because there is another person connected to the situation. Someone who may know something about the offer that you do not. Perhaps they have seen how this person behaves when money is involved. Perhaps they have heard something. Perhaps they understand the hidden expectation. Yet they have been uncertain whether they should interfere. They do not want to create unnecessary suspicion. They do not want you to think they are jealous of your opportunity. So they remain quiet for a while. But silence becomes difficult when they realize how quickly things may move. They begin considering whether to speak to you before you make your decision. They replay what they know. They question whether they misunderstood it. They hesitate because they do not want to damage your trust in someone unfairly. And that hesitation creates the next layer of suspense, because now you are standing between two incomplete pieces of information. One person is preparing an offer. Another person may be preparing a warning. Neither has told you everything yet. This is precisely why you cannot build your decision on emotion alone. Listen to facts. Ask for evidence. Do not condemn someone because of rumors, but do not ignore verifiable information merely because the offer is attractive. If another person brings you a concern, ask them what they actually know rather than what they assume. Separate evidence from interpretation. Truth becomes stronger when it does not need exaggeration. There is something powerful about being calm when everyone expects you to react quickly. Imagine the offer being presented, and instead of immediately celebrating or refusing, you simply say, "Thank you. I need time to understand everything." That sentence changes the balance. It tells everyone involved that your circumstances cannot be used to rush you. It reminds you that needing something does not mean losing the right to think. And what happens next may surprise you. The person offering the money might immediately respect your request. If they do, perhaps their intentions were far better than you feared. Perhaps the conditions are reasonable, transparent, and mutually beneficial. Perhaps this really is an opportunity worth considering. Discernment sometimes leads to yes. Wisdom is not permanent suspicion. But imagine instead that they suddenly become impatient. Imagine they say the opportunity disappears unless you agree immediately. Imagine they refuse to explain basic terms. Imagine they demand secrecy. Imagine they ask you to conceal the arrangement from people you trust. Imagine they insist that asking questions proves you do not appreciate them. Those reactions would be information worth noticing. You do not need supernatural signs to recognize obvious pressure. You need permission to trust thoughtful reasoning. And perhaps that is the true message hidden inside this entire story. Heaven is not trying to make you afraid of receiving. Heaven is teaching you how to receive without being controlled. There is abundance that does not demand your dignity as payment. There is generosity that leaves your freedom intact. There are people who will celebrate your independence rather than resent it. There are opportunities where everyone understands the agreement and nobody needs manipulation to maintain it. Your future does not need to be purchased by someone else's approval. For so long, you may have imagined breakthrough as one dramatic moment where everything suddenly changes. But sometimes breakthrough is quieter. Sometimes it is recognizing a bad condition before agreeing to it. Sometimes it is asking the question you were afraid to ask. Sometimes it is waiting 24 hours before making a decision. Sometimes it is having a qualified professional review an important contract. Sometimes it is telling someone, "I appreciate the offer, but that condition does not work for me." That sentence can protect years of your future. There is no shame in wanting financial stability. There is no shame in accepting legitimate help. There is no shame in dreaming of more. But never allow anyone to convince you that because they helped you financially, they now own your gratitude forever. Gratitude can be sincere without becoming servitude. Appreciation can exist alongside boundaries. And now we arrive at the moment the entire story has been moving toward. The second person finally decides they cannot remain silent. They reach for their phone. They begin typing something to you. Then they erase it. They try again. This time the message is longer. They explain that they heard about the potential offer, but there is one detail they believe you need to know before agreeing to anything. Their finger hovers over send. At the same moment, the person preparing the financial offer is also reaching out to you. Two messages are moving toward the same destination. One contains an opportunity. The other contains information that could completely change how you understand it. And you still do not know which one you will read first. The strange part is that the hidden condition may not be what you expect. It may not involve repayment in the ordinary sense. It may not even be written down. It could be something emotional, relational, professional, or personal, something the person assumed you would simply understand after accepting their help. And that assumption is exactly what must be brought into the light before any decision is made. Because once the second person finally reveals what they know, one question will become impossible to ignore: why was this condition never mentioned to you directly? There is an answer. But the answer opens another door. Behind that door is a conversation that happened without you, a promise someone believes was made on your behalf, and a detail about what they expect to receive from you after the money changes hands. And when you discover exactly what that detail is, you will understand why the amount of money was never the biggest part of this story.